So I'm Damian. I'm head of digital PR here at Impression. So I worked in PR for about 8 years. So I started my career in traditional PR. Before that, I was in journalism. Worked at the BBC for a while. Moved into traditional PR. Moved into digital PR. And yeah, I'm here. I'll take you through some bits about digital PR later on, and that's sort of the reason that I moved into that as a career. Emma.
Hi, I'm Emma. I'm a senior digital PR strategist. I've worked at Impression for around 4 years, but my background is mainly traditional, and then was in digital for a year before joining Impression. So yeah, I lead on multiple different clients that we have, mainly our consumer lifestyle brands.
I'll go through a quick recap of digital PR so everyone understands and we're all on the same page of what digital PR is, and run through what makes a strategy successful. So I guess these are the key differences between traditional PR and digital PR. So traditional PR, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware, has historically been sort of based on landing coverage in print publications, broadcast media, and they're reporting on metrics that are now quite dated, like AVE, reach. I think the AVE metric's still knocking around, but just in a different guise. But it's still like a metric that doesn't really mean anything. Brand awareness sits at the core of all the activity, which is fine. That's also part of digital PR. I guess it's just ensuring that you're measuring that correctly. And then these brand mentions are key to success and consider win. Similarly, a lot of that is the same for digital PR. Just, I guess the large difference is the way that we measure this. So digital PR feeds directly into an SEO strategy. So the way that we can measure the impact of digital PR is by looking at the impact that it has on SEO strategy. We're part of the overall organic strategy. We're still doing the same things as traditional PR. The foundations and the output is largely the same, but what we're looking for is links, and we're looking for online publications and online coverage. So this is how a search engine works, for anyone who doesn't know. So it's split into 3 pillars. So we've got the technical side, which is largely handled by an SEO team, a technical SEO team. We've got the content pillar, which is also handled by the SEO team. And then we've got authority here, which is like the third pillar of SEO to ensure that a successful organic strategy. This is largely fed by digital PR or PR, so links across the web and mentions across the web as well will feed into the authority of an SEO strategy to appease the search engine. Cool. So successful digital PR strategies require collaboration and understanding. So the first stage we go through is to understand the link requirements. So what's the link requirement across a site? There'll be some sites that have better links than others. There'll be gaps across sites, and the idea is to try and close those gaps down to ensure that you, competing on the same level as your competitors, but then also pushing ahead of your competitors as well. Then agree the specifics with the client, what keywords are we targeting, which keywords do we want to influence, which parts of the site do we want to target. Collaborating on ideas, like what do you want to talk about, what are the areas that we can talk about, which we'll go into a bit more later on, and understand the landscape as well. So is there link potential there, is there coverage potential there, what does it look like, can we basically perform in that area? So the other side is around ideation. So this is, I guess, the output of the, here we go, yeah. So this is the output of the strategies. So this is the steps that we take. So the first stage is research. So understanding the brand, the issues and customers, and we'll go through this exercise later on and all of you will get a chance to do it. Ideation. So this is often collaborative, varied. We follow relevant sort of logical paths away from the business and away from this first step to get to ideas that are going to resonate with the press. I guess appease an audience en masse, and it's not too salesy, so it's not going to sort of get shut down by journalists and we'll get coverage. Then validating these ideas as well. So are they viable? Can we resource them? We'll stress test them and peer review them as a group. And then road mapping these ideas as well. So what are the angles? Who are we targeting? What's the priority in terms of angles? So impactful strategies work when there's a story at the core. So the first stage is to establish the customers, the issues, what resonates with those customers and where the pain points are. We can then go into, when it loads up, the content. So this is often split into 2 areas. So we've got broader themed link earning content. This is, I guess, content that sits on the site. It's quite informative, and it's there to sort of drive traffic, drive engagement, and will also earn links as a resource. We've then got specific digital PR campaigns or traditional PR campaigns, I guess, as you would know them. These hone in on specific issues. A successful campaign or a successful PR campaign, I believe, should sort of solve an issue for a customer and also resonate with the press. Distribution is an outreach to press and relevant titles. We've then got the amplification stage. So this is where the content and the stories can then be amplified through other channels and supporting channels that can support PR. So That's like the likes of organic social, paid social, influencer, that sort of thing. And then discovery. So at this point, the stories are ranking well, as in, so the pieces on the site are ranking well. The content is evergreen. That the content on the site is evergreen. That is delivering sort of value to the reader and to the customer. Journalists at this point also start to come back to us for information, which we'll go through a bit more later on. Some examples of that. They'll expect annual updates from the businesses if we've got like a report that goes out each year, and they'll seek more from the source as well. And then this cycle sort of restarts again. Cool. So I've mentioned how digital PR feeds into an SEO strategy, but this is, I guess, how we see the impact, and then we've got an example to go through as well. Cool. So we work with a client called Marmalade. They're a learner driver insurance company. So I don't know if anyone knows, but the insurance search space is like wildly competitive. It's really difficult to, I guess, make impact. It takes a long time. It takes a lot of consistency. So having the edge over competitors is quite important in this space. So this is, all campaigns start with something like this, which is called non-page assets. This is the research that sits on the client's site. This is the story. This houses all of the stories, and this is where we want to drive links from press to this page. So these campaigns have multiple angles, and because they have multiple angles, that means we land more coverage. It gives us more opportunities to pitch out to the press, more opportunities to land coverage, and more opportunities to earn links. So there's some examples here. This is 2 different stories from the same piece. So 1 in 20 disheartened learner drivers trying to pass their driving test because of pandemic delays. This learner driver spent £4,600 on learning to drive because of the pandemic backlog. So there's a couple of different stories here, and we can see the link here in the piece. So it's referencing the research on the client site, offering the reader of this publication additional means to go and find out more about the research that we conducted. And this is how it translates. So we're looking to essentially build authority, as I went through a moment ago, in the 3 pillars. The authority in this scenario is represented as a chain. So we land coverage within the news site. So with that story I just went through, there's a link within that piece, as we saw a moment ago, that passes back to the campaign page. So authority from this site is passing to this site. Within this piece, we've got an internal link pointing to our target category page. So this is the page that we want to influence. It's got the keywords on it we want to influence. So the authority is passing from there through an internal link on the site to the category page. And over time, like through multiple campaigns, we can see this is the impact that it has. So we started working with Marmalade. Their whole keyword set for this page was around 60% visibility. And over time, with consistency, it's now at around 100%. And that's the sort of impact that we can see through digital PR and through building these links back to the site. But how do we get there?
You need a story. It's like Chuckle Vision or something. I don't even know if that works. Cool, yeah. So this next stage of our talk is going to be all around finding your core offering in PR. Little spoiler, it's not actually what you're selling or your products or services, which some people might think it is. So when you come to start creating your PR strategy, a lot of people will just go straight to the product or service and aim to kind of sell that and kind of, think that the strategy needs to be centered around the exact product or service. But what you're actually not trying to do is sell your products or service through your PR campaigns and strategy. You actually need to establish relevancy first. So in order to do that, you should be creating content and campaigns for people. So whether that's your current customers, your potential customers, readers of publications, you need to be creating content that's going to resonate with them, is going to interest them. Stop building PR strategies just for Google because you think that's what Google wants to see. You think that's what people want to read. The recognition that you will get from creating a strategy that's around your core offering instead of your product and services will come naturally over time. So to create a PR strategy, your aim should be relevant coverage, so coverage in publications that your audience or potential audience will be reading, and links from domains and publications that are related to your core offering, so that's not your product, and also your target audience. There are some exceptions to that rule where your product or service might be naturally newsworthy in itself. So you might have launched a limited edition product, or it might be, industry groundbreaking, a brand new, product or service. But it's unlikely to deliver a long-term strategy and an efficient strategy. It's not one, there's only so much press that you can push out around a new drink or a limited edition service. So when you're not focusing on your product and service and trying to sell that, these are some things that you might kind of hear from senior stakeholders that are kind of looking into your strategy and thinking, why are you not trying to sell the product or service? So things like, the campaign isn't about our product. Is it even relevant? We want people to know what we're selling. How will we sell this through a story? We need something a bit more product heavy. And these are all kind of common and valid questions that you might hear from a business and from senior stakeholders that really want to drive revenue. But selling more and increasing the revenue is an eventual outcome of PR. It's kind of the long-term outcome. It's not an instant outcome. It's not what, you're not going to send out one press release and, create loads more revenue. The instant outcome is building a brand. It's engaging with your customers, and it's earning those relevant links. And all of the positive stuff will come kind of long term. So increasing your revenue, building that brand awareness is all going to come in the long term. And just to kind of put it into practice, just from our kind of experience in being product-led versus core offering-led. So if you're a brand that sell luxury beds, you might push out a press release if it's focused on your product and service around your beds being the comfiest, they're amazing, they're brilliant, this is why you should buy them, they're the comfiest things you've ever laid on. You send out the press release and this is the kind of reply that you probably will see. It's quite salesy. Why would we cover this? It doesn't resonate with our readers. You should be paying for it. It's a sponsor or an ad. So the eventual kind of outcome of that is limited to no coverage, no real alignment with what your core offering is as a brand. It's just appeasing what you think people want to read. It's just appeasing senior stakeholders who want to sell and create more revenue. It doesn't actually target the full audience potential. So what you should be doing is a story about struggling to sleep or sleep remedies, providing tips to customers or potential customers who are having issues with their sleep. You work with your sleep experts in-house or you source them externally. And you create new solutions. Let's swap. Instead, the journalist actually will reply saying that this is super informative. You're solving a problem. Your readers will be engaged in this. It's trying to kind of solve a solution that's really interesting to them. It's, something they're having issues with. So they're going to want to read it and find out, actually, this brand really cares about their customers. They really want to help us solve the solutions. And in the end, you're pushing out content and campaigns that really resonate with the customer. You're going to build a brand awareness around, a brand that really helps their customers.
In terms of like what Emma's gone through there, in terms of like building on this core offering, so there's the framework we pulled together called the BIC framework. So this stands for brand, issues and customers, and this should allow us to get to this like outcome that we've that hopefully you can get to as well, and what Emma's just mentioned there. So the first step is brand. So it's sort of understanding what the brand stands for, what are the brand values, what's the brand's sort of mission, and all that sort of stuff. And once we understand that, we've got one part of the framework solved. We then need to understand who the customers are. So who are the customers? Who are we trying to engage? Who do we want to build a brand for? And who and what? I guess like who are the people that are dealing with the issues that we're also going to go through. And then we've got the issue side of things. So what are the pain points for our customers? What do we want to solve for our customers? And there's some other example questions there as well. There is an example just following this section. So it's again going back to Marmalade. So Marmalade's a learner driver insurance brand. So they've got a few customers. So they've got learner drivers, parents of learner drivers, and instructors as well is also one of their guest customer groups that they want to engage. So here's some of the questions. Cool. And in terms of their brand values, so they represent honesty, value for money. Their goal is to inform. They, I guess, want to be, like the guardians for learner drivers, and sort of build on that to create this community that they're the experts in learner driver insurance. They're going to provide the right service, and they're going to provide all this information to, I guess, look after their customers. So one of the questions we looked at to establish the issues is what can impact learner drivers when they're on the road. So there's loads of different things. So road conditions, accidents, roadworks and delays, tricky junctions like roundabouts, other learners, newly qualified drivers, but also receiving abuse when learning the car. So this is one of the topics that we landed on. So and then we've obviously got the customers there, but how this all comes together as part of that big framework to get to a campaign is this. So the customer is learner drivers and parents. We know that the issues that impact them is receiving abuse when learning in the car or being safe on the roads. The offering that's not the product, so this is the idea, is the campaign to increase penalties for abuse around learner drivers. The opportunity then is lifestyle press, motoring press, student press, instructor titles, and does this align with the brand values that we went through a moment ago as part of the framework? Yes, because it supports this key customer. Cool, so it's over to you for the next 20 minutes. So we're going to run through this framework. So you should all have notebooks in front of you. You've all got the flip charts of paper.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll come around and help out, but the idea would be to take your businesses and go through these questions here. So what's your brand? What does it stand for? What are the issues that impact the brand? And then who are the customers?